now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers. We have Lisa, Community Affairs Manager at Microsoft Canada, who will be introducing us to Microsoft Modern Nonprofit Program. Lynn, the Executive Director of Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center, and Larry, IT Specialist at Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center, who will be sharing with us how their nonprofit migrated to Office 365. Christina, Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft, will be covering Office 365 for nonprofits, which is available to eligible TechSoup Canada members. Ahmed, Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft, who will be giving us an overview of Azure and its nonprofit offerings directly through Microsoft. And last but not least, Ronald, Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft, who will be leading us, or who will be speaking to us about Dynamics 365, which has on-premise offers for nonprofits through TechSoup Canada. So, without further ado, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Lisa.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. As Ben mentioned, my name is Lisa Everett and Community Affairs Manager with Microsoft Canada Philanthropies. My role is to establish and maintain strong relationships and alliances within the Canadian nonprofit community while executing programs like this through our software donation Tech for Good program. At Microsoft, we believe technology is a powerful force for improving people's lives. We see it every day in our work, and whether it's students discovering the magic of creating something new with code through our Youth Spark program, or nonprofit member volunteers who use cloud services to drive fundraising efforts, collaborate with colleagues, or increase business efficiencies. Sorry, Joyce, if you just want to move the slides forward. Thank you. In a world in which technology innovation is driving rapid growth and profound change, one of the most important challenges we face is to ensure that this disruption is balanced by opportunity and that the benefits of change are broadly shared. We're committed to doing more globally and across Canada to bring the benefits of technology to everyone. We're focused on ensuring an equitable and accessible world for nonprofits, people with disabilities, youth, and displaced people. Joyce again, thank you. Microsoft is proud to donate our technology to nonprofits around the world and across Canada every day to help organizations like yours achieve more. With limited resources, we understand community organizations often face a choice between investing in IT infrastructure or investing in their programmatic work. Microsoft created the Tech for Good program to empower every nonprofit to achieve more by putting the power of the cloud in the hands of nonprofit workers, researchers, and volunteers. We believe technology should be an equalizing force in the world, not one that drives people further apart. Through our investment in the Cloud for Good program, we're bringing the power of technology to those addressing society's most pressing issues. Eligible organizations can access Microsoft Cloud offers such as Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics for free or at a significant discount. In today's webinar, we'll hear from our experts in the field of various ways these services will empower your organization to do more. Before we dive deeper into our cloud offers, I'd love to share a couple of firsthand digital transformation stories from two of our Canadian nonprofit partners. Today, we're thrilled to have our partners from the Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center join us to share their story and answer any questions about their digital journey. But first, I'd love to share a story from our partners at Hot Docs, North America's largest documentary film festival. For those of you joining us over the telephone today, please note that the audio for this video will be coming directly from your personal computer rather than through your phone headset. I apologize if the video is difficult to hear for some.
Thank you, Lisa, for that inspiring video. This is a great time to hear from our friends at Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center and learn about their experience with Office 365 and why they chose the solution, and to hear more about their migration experience. So, Lynn and Larry, I'm passing the controls over to you.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon. I'll give you a brief background of our agency that we're so proud of. We began 29 years ago and grew from 2 part-time staff in a shared room upstairs in a church in a high-risk, high-needs, high-density neighborhood. And we now have more than 18 locations across our community, and they're in churches and schools, shopping malls, professional buildings, plaza, a townhouse, and we have a main office that's shared with a library and a theater. So we are sort of out there, and we love it because people can walk to a place they see and know and feel comfortable in. The problem, however, with this wonderful advantage of having lots of local offices that serve different purposes. Some are help seniors, some help youth, some help mom with new babies, some provide mentoring and mediation and help people who can't pay their energy bills. And a lot of our work is focused on newcomers, as we are the reception area for newcomers from all over the world. And last year, of course, we embraced the newcomers from Syria from the moment they arrived at the airport, served them in the hotels, and now in the community. So we're focused on many different people in many different areas, which leads to our problem with communicating and communicating in a way that is good for our clients. So the client brings their kids to a drop-in program for early years, and they say to the staff there, "Oh my gosh, my husband lost his job. We don't know what we're going to do." We could do an immediate referral to our employment department, who could help them out. But we need that IT reliable connection between each of our remote locations. So having said that, Larry will tell you about our journey to try and fix that issue.
Hi, everyone. My name is Larry Camillo. I'm the IT specialist at Dixie Bloor. And just to follow on from what Lynn said, prior to Office 365, we had a few operational and technical challenges to overcome to really get our organization to integrate and work as a team, regardless of location and regardless of program. So as I have on the slide, one of our major issues initially was an unreliable pop mail system that we had. It was hosted actually in Vancouver, and we're in Toronto. So a lot of times email may go down, and we couldn't actually get tech support until they started work on the West Coast. So that was one major challenge that we had to address, and Office 365 helped us with that a lot. Communications, as Lynn mentioned, we had different programs, different locations. So generally, we would work within our program. So our clients are specific to that program, and getting cross-functional help was a challenge because there was no easy or simple way to communicate with our different programs, whether it be employment or newcomer support or language classes. So it was the concept of getting a client all the services they needed very quickly was a challenge just because of the technology. Our
lack of technology.
Or lack thereof of technology at the time. Our internal referral process is also hampered by that because it would take multiple steps to guide a client to find new locations where different offices are to serve them. So clients sometimes will get frustrated trying to walk around finding where these offices are because there is no no seamless communication happening. And in general, even on the staff level, there was a challenge in having centralized access to information. So we may have a new HR policy, for example, but unless it's sent in a memo maybe, or unless it's emailed, not everyone checks their email, people will be out of the loop on certain things that are happening. And for our own internal operations, there was a challenge with regards to information. And in addition, our systems run on in-house Microsoft servers, which are excellent. However, at the time we were looking at Office 365, remote backup systems were extremely expensive and not something that we can sustain long term. So with stuff like OneDrive actually enabled us to have a remote encrypted backup system. So moving forward to what specific solutions helped us. The cloud-based Exchange email on Office 365 was a major godsend to us. It helped us to not only collaborate via email better, we can also share our calendars, share our schedules. So now we have events being coordinated and staff being coordinated much better across the organization. The Sharepoint Intranet helped us a lot by providing a central web interface where we basically create like a virtual online community where staff can be interacting with what's going on. They can be aware of new events, new workshops, professional development, different things that are happening in the organization and not feel out of the loop. Our intranet is also the repository for our centralized shared file system. So again, HR policies were able to be found on there. Different forms and different pieces of information that are needed were available. Skype for Business became a real gift to us because we have staff who work in schools, for example, and all they have is just internet access. And through Skype for Business, we were able to have remote meetings with them at multiple sites, multiple locations, and share common documentation as well as interact in real time. We even use Skype for Business as a tech support tool, because sometimes when someone's experiencing an issue and it's on their screen, they're able to share their screen using Skype for Business to actually help IT understand what they're looking at and help them in real time. So it's been a great assistance for the IT team as well in connecting with everyone in different locations. Dynamics CRM was a major player in our transformation. For many years, we have been looking for the right client management system for us. And we've checked, because of our diversity as an organization, because of the different services we have, there was never any one solution that can do the job. So in the end, we realized, you know what, we need to build something in-house, and we need something that's powerful enough and adaptive enough to work with our various different programs. So with some help from one of our board members, we were able to get Dynamics CRM and begin building a client management system that would serve our different clients across different locations and give us the ability to customize it the way we need and be user-friendly, which was really important. Office 365 groups and teams also are a major benefit for us, because with remote teams collaborating on stuff, we actually want to have these little pods where they can have information moving back and forth without having it broadcast to the entire organization and be able to work quickly and efficiently. So for example, our social media initiative, which was recently launched this year, we used Teams to help us coordinate through different sites, different programs. We had different leaders who were helping with content for social media. So Teams really helped us to integrate and coordinate across different programs. Also, because there are the connectors for Teams, it allowed us to actually see our social media presence on Facebook and Twitter in real time while coordinating across different locations. And OneDrive for Business has been a major asset in the area of creating an encrypted, secure remote backup system for us. We've been able to have ongoing disaster protection now in case of anything happening to our physical servers, which we've had. We've had times when we've had floods that threatened our servers and our infrastructure. So through OneDrive for Business, we're able to create and store encrypted backup systems, which really protect our information. And we're also able to share information a lot easier across different sites for proposal writing, for example. We can share a single document that many different programs can use to update, so we all can work on a document at the same time, which increases efficiency as well as avoids having the problem of different versions of the same document showing up in different places and not being sure which one. So overall, Office 365 Cloud has really, I think, changed our whole way of operating. IT has become a deep aspect of our strategy now and our path forward. We're looking at taking our CRM into the cloud as well. It's right now on in-house servers. So the future is bright for us now as far as we see from the IT side, because we really have the technology infrastructure we need for growth well into the next, I would say, the next decade, actually. So that's my piece. I want to thank Microsoft and TechSoup for having us on, because we really enjoy this process. And yep, so over on to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lynn and Larry. Thanks for sharing your experience with us around Office 365. And now I'd like to pass the presentation over to Christina, who will be giving us an overview of Office 365 and the offers for nonprofits. Christina, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Christina, and I am a product marketing manager on the Office team here in Canada. My primary role is focused on educational institutions, but I also support in the nonprofit space. So I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about Office 365 and how it can be used to reinvent productivity in your organization and enable a digital transformation. We know that digital trends are changing the way people work, and that digital transformation represents a tremendous opportunity to organizations to enable them to engage their customers, the people that they work with every day, to transform the way they work, and to optimize their operations, empowering their employees. Today, I wanted to focus on how Office 365 can empower your employees. Some of the things I may mention might not be brand new to you, but I do want to ensure that I speak to the full scope of what's available in Office 365, especially because some of these things are made available by Microsoft for free, and then other things may be available to you at a significant discount. Sorry, I'm just new to the functionality of the webinar, so I went ahead a little bit too quickly. And so as we think about Office 365, to enable organizations to maximize the opportunity that the digital transformation has, there are four key technology investment areas. Collaboration, which creates a productive workplace and embraces diverse work styles. Mobility, which enables people to get things done from anywhere. Intelligence, which provides insights to drive faster and better decisions. And trust, to protect your organization, data, and people. Office 365 technologies span all productivity categories: authoring, mail and social, site and content management, chat, meetings and voice, and analytics. All of our Office 365 technologies are enterprise grade, so they include security and compliance, and always are up to date with the ongoing cloud updates that are available in Office 365. I'll start with collaboration because it is so central to productivity today. Mobile and remote is the new normal, and people are extending far beyond the four walls of their organization. To get work done, teams need an easy way to self-organize, to stay connected on the go, tap into the network of their stakeholders inside and outside of the organization, and all while juggling multiple projects. Office 365 is a really comprehensive set of technology to enable this type of collaboration and to enable this type of diverse work style. And so with all of the different tools that make up Office 365, it enables people who work differently to work from wherever they need to. We know that one size does not fit all. So I'm going to walk through a couple of features within Office 365 that align to the collaboration pillar. And then I will walk through mobility, intelligence, and trust as well. And at the end of the presentation, I will show you the different options for how you can take advantage of Office 365 in your organization. I'll start with OneDrive because it is such a pivotal piece of Office 365. We work and live in a world where collaboration can't always happen in person, and sharing ideas and information sometimes can't wait. At times, multiple people are in a document making changes at the same time, and we know that that's the way that people work today. Microsoft Office, partnered with OneDrive for Business, gives you a seamless experience to create, share, and find content. Kicking off a collaboration working session in Office is simple because you can easily share and access the same document using a click of a button. And once your colleagues have access to your file, you can easily co-author. If users want to interact in real time with others and see the changes that are happening live, they can do that too, all within the applications that are available in Office 365. Outlook, something that we all know very well, but with the new Office 365, it also allows for very easy collaboration. When you send an email in Outlook, you can easily insert a link into the file from your OneDrive for Business, and instead of attaching the file itself. So when you send files to others, instead of having to open up the attachment, make edits, save a revised version, and send back to the person who sent it to you, you can simply open up the document, work within it, make changes, and the person you're collaborating with will see those changes immediately. There are also new features within Outlook, things like the focused inbox, which helps someone be more productive and filter the emails that they need to focus on, while the rest of your content and mail remains easily accessible, but out of the way so you can focus on what you need to. Skype is another really great tool that allows for easy collaboration within Office 365. It lets you collaborate with anyone, anywhere, and on any device with the same security and control that Microsoft expects from all of its tools. As a single client for instant messaging, voice, video, presence, and content sharing, Skype is available for any user to use on any device that they choose. Skype for Business also gives you the freedom to work with anyone in any location, virtually eliminating the need for travel, which is a very key feature for organizations that work across the country. Microsoft Teams is a new application and tool that is available in Office 365. It's the digital equivalent of an open space office environment and is an entirely new experience which brings people together, brings conversations together, and content. It gives team members easy access to the information they need in a dedicated hub designed from the ground up for teamwork. Here, people and their team chat, content, people, and tools all living together in Office 365. Because it's a new tool, I'll spend a little bit more time talking about the key attributes of Microsoft Teams. And there are 4 things that really help people perform at their best. First, Microsoft Teams is a modern-day chat environment that keeps everyone in the know with complete chat history, whether that's across the team or in a private chat. People can see content and chat history anytime. Team chats and activities are visible to the entire team. Private chats can be used for small group conversations. And with web, desktop, and mobile versions, Microsoft Teams allows members to connect and communicate from whichever device they need. Microsoft Teams is also a hub for teamwork. In Teams, everything that members need, chat, content, people, and tools, all live within the same workplace. So there's easy access to everything that you need on a daily basis, including applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, anything that you need for getting things done. Because Microsoft Teams is integrated with Office 365, teams have the ability to quickly access all the information they need, whether those files are stored on something like SharePoint or OneDrive or notes within a OneNote. Microsoft Teams is also extremely customizable for the way that different teams work. You can easily tailor the workspace to include content and capabilities for the team. For example, you can add tabs to a channel for quick access to frequently used documents and cloud services like PowerPoint or Excel. You can also pull in connectors for third-party tools. There's really great bots that allow for polling, for time management, for meeting connections. Different tools are always being created to help make things easier for teams. You can build custom integrations as well. And the last thing, Microsoft Teams provides a great collaboration experience while upholding Microsoft's commitments to safeguard customer and user data. Microsoft Teams was designed with compliance, authentication, and privacy in mind, with support for industry standards, strong security measures, including two-factor authentication, hard passwords, and access policies. The data is always encrypted, whether it is in chat, notes, or files. In short, it's your data, you own it, and you control it. I won't spend too much time on Yammer and SharePoint because those are some of the tools that I'm sure you're familiar with if you're already using Office 365, but I will move into mobility. As we've talked about already, mobile is the new normal, and many employees and organizations need to be able to work from anywhere. A critical part of mobile productivity is making sure it is secure. So together with enterprise mobility and security, Office 365 gives organizations the tools to protect their users and their data. Outlook, again, a tool that we all know quite well, is now available as iOS and Android applications, which means you can use your Outlook email account, calendar, contacts, and files without switching between different apps or interfaces. You get the same consistent and familiar experience on your Outlook mobile apps as when you manage your calendar on your computer or your PC. You can view and attach files from your device, from OneDrive or other storage account, making it very easy to share with others as well. The Office mobile apps, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, are built from the ground up for touch and offer the familiar experience that Office customers expect and that you know. Because they are tightly integrated with OneDrive and other cloud service providers, the Office mobile apps are fully cloud connected, which means, again, you can access your applications from wherever you need to and access your documents from any device as well. As we mentioned, manageability and security are really important within Office 365, and we know that it's important for organizations to be able to protect their data. So when you think about Office 365, we also want to ensure that you consider and understand all of the security features that are built into Office 365 that allow for productivity on the go. To be successful in a digital world, organizations need to be making decisions that are backed by data. We've seen leaders across every industry, including the nonprofit industry and organizational world, take advantage of data analytics in the Office 365 suite to help drive better decisions. I'll start with Power BI and Excel. They're both designed to work together, and they intentionally use the same underlying technology and capabilities to make it easy to move between the tools as you gather data, build data models, begin analysis, and visualize insights. I'll go a little bit deeper on Power BI because it might not be familiar to people on the webinar, but it is a cloud-based self-service business intelligence service that enables data visualization and analysis. It connects to a broad range of live data sources, provides interactive reports, and delivers compelling visualizations that bring data to life in easy-to-use dashboards. These dashboards can also be shared across your organization, so everyone has access to the same data at the same time. Another new feature in Office 365 that might not be familiar to you is Delve. It helps you discover relevant content and people based on who you work with the most and what's trending around you. So when you discover a person, their Office 365 profile showcases their information, their contact information, a photo, who they work with, and a summary of what they do. By connecting you with the content and the contacts who are relevant to you, Delve helps break down silos and keeps you in the know with your organization. The value of infusing intelligence like Delve and other workloads into Office 365 means that you have access to information and insights right where you are without leaving the app or experience. But the other thing to note is that sensitive documents are safe in Delve, and really it's up to the user to control who sees what and when. Only the individual can control their private documents, but when they do make it available to share, it's easy for others to have access and to find documents that are already being collaborated on. A third intelligence tool is Maya Analytics. It provides insight into two of the most important ways for personal productivity: how you spend your time and who you spend your time with. So on the screen here, you see a dashboard that is the Maya Analytics dashboard, and it shows you your personal usage data. So again, it will never show you anything that you do not have the permission to see, but it does allow for individuals to learn more about their meeting habits, the network that they have surrounding them, their email response times, their focus hours, so that they know that they have time to, outside of email time, to really focus and get things done. And then the after hours module, which helps users understand how long they're spending at work after the hours that they are meant to be there. Another couple of new design services that are built on the intelligence pillar are PowerPoint Designer and Morph. These are two tools that are available within PowerPoint, and they help automate the creation of slides and presentations to help make it easier to get things done. So with a cloud-powered recommendation engine and smart animation technology, these two PowerPoint capabilities help anyone create a polished slide and captivating motion effects with just a few clicks. I'll quickly run through a few key features in the trust pillar, because I think it's important to keep in mind that Office 365, while offering really great cloud technology, still has built-in enterprise protection for any organization or customer who is using the product, regardless of the product that you are using. And we take this commitment seriously at Microsoft. Securing productivity, collaboration, and enterprise data is critical to organizations in their digital transformation, and we're committed to delivering a new approach to secure this transition. As many of us now are used to working from anywhere and from our preferred device, information protection controls need to evolve to protect this data at the individual file and service levels. Office 365 offers foundational data protection through encryption at rest that protects your data on your system. And data classification and protection controls are also integrated into the Office apps themselves. In today's world, data may be more vulnerable to unauthorized access or attacks, as employees are adopting non-approved third-party cloud applications for their devices. Maybe they're risking data security and compliance, but it is super important for organizations to take that seriously and to use things like advanced threat protection to safeguard their organizations against these risks. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that Microsoft believes the customer is the owner of their data. So we do not use customer data for anything at all. We safeguard the customer data with our strong contractual commitments, and all of our Office 365 products take this into consideration and align to this fundamental belief. And the last piece is transparency. So in keeping with our commitment to provide customers with the utmost transparency, we always release a detailed overview of how Office 365 controls security, privacy, compliance, and risk management. And so that's the whirlwind overview of the new world of Office 365 and of productivity in the digital transformation era. And so the last thing I wanted to leave you with well, two things actually, is our Office 365 innovation roadmap. And the point of showing you this is so that you understand that Office 365 is in a cloud world and things are changing very quickly. So within the last 12 months, you see here that there are a bunch of different new features that have launched that align to those 4 pillars that we just discussed, but there's also a ton of things that are happening and changing. And so you may be familiar with Office 365 as it is today, but in a couple months from now, there might be new features that you will find relevant to your organization. And on this last slide, these are the options available to nonprofit organizations who want to start using Office 365 in their organizations. You can find this slide and more details online, and TechSoup will be able to provide you with those resources at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for having me, and I'll now pass it back to Ben.
Great, thank you so much, Christina. Thanks for walking us through Office 365 and the nonprofit plans. Just a reminder to our participants that any questions can be submitted through our Q&A chat box, and we'll do our best to address them during the Q&A period. Now, I'd like to switch the presentation over to Ahmed, who will be speaking to us about Microsoft Azure. Over to you, Ahmed.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here. I see we have we crossed the 200 attendees, so it's exciting to let's make that useful and talk about the Microsoft Azure and how it is the cloud platform for digital transformation and what we can do with it. I'll quickly start with an important backdrop to level set on why this is important. I mean, in today's world, technology is really omnipresent. It's shaping how businesses plan for innovation and growth. Importance of digital transformation is really urgent. I mean, 52% of the Fortune 500 companies are now gone due to one thing, and that one thing is digital disruption. Companies respond to digital disruption with digital strategies, and these can be looked at in 4 buckets, basically engaging their customers, empowering their employees, optimizing their internal operations, and transforming their products. Now, you might ask yourself, is this important? And even I think it's even more important for nonprofits. I mean, you look at companies that generated the digital disruption. A famous example everybody refers to is Uber, and how they created a digital model for the taxi industry, allowed them to surpass over any other taxi company, and their valuation speaks to it. They've created a significant shift in the industry that has been largely untouched for decades. So it is real, it is here. And one other aspect is, we might ask, is why is this important? I mean, if we look at what every aspect of the analysts and the industry is saying, by 2020, 1 million devices will come online every hour. Now, every hour, that is an important one. Now, more important than that is the billions of relationships that these devices, as they come online, will make between the people and the data, and how that can drive amazing opportunity, not only with the data, but also with the algorithm that can reason over that data and deliver insights and actions. By 2020, the average age of a 500 S&P 500 corporation is 12 years. Compare that to 60 in the 1960. And last but not least, I mean, by 2025, forecast to be 60% of the computing in the whole world, which is already growing, to be on public cloud, with the everything as a service shifting fundamental changes in our industry, the IT industry. So how are we planning for that digital transformation? Do we have the right skills, the right technology in place, and how can we use it to shape our future? It really, for me, starts with the new superpower, enabling us to focus on what's important, because what we really need to focus on is to capture the opportunity that come with all of that change, as opposed to getting absorbed with it and in the details of it. We need to be there, but we also need to focus on what's important. It's our ability to scale super fast to capture the opportunities possible with the digital transformation, versus hoping to stand still and wish to weather out the hits by digital disruption. At the center of that is Azure, Microsoft Azure. And Microsoft Azure is our cloud platform from Microsoft, it enables you to go globally. It has the global infrastructure spanning 38 regions worldwide. That's twice as much as any of our competitors. It gives you the controls to look at things like security, privacy, compliance, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, it helps you to focus on innovation. I mean, it's surprising. I've been in the industry since 1990, and as you look at how things change, if you receive a new software solution that you as the IT owner need to get into action quickly, but that new software solution requires a machine that would have not been possible at the time I started. I mean, like something with 2 terabytes of memory, 2 terabytes of local SSD storage, 64 cores, visual CPUs, and something that can deliver 80,000 IOPS and have network throughput of like 16 gigabytes. I mean, and I'm throwing number, but these are not just examples. These are real. The model prior to the cloud would have been to go through a long procurement cycle before I can run the workload, and we all know how long that takes. What I really need to focus on is running the software solution that will help me differentiate my business. And of course, there is the other side of that, is the big investment that I have to put into this and stuck with it after I ran the solution and everything. Now, today, with Azure, that specific machine with all the specs that I mentioned, and actually more than that, exists, and you can spin it up in a matter of minutes and then use it for the few hours that you really need it, and then shut it down, even delete it, and only pay for that time that we used it. Why is that important? Because there is so much that can be done if we focus on the right things with the solutions. I mean, especially in the nonprofit, where we want to do good at scale, we want to do much more, and that is the superpower that this enables us. So again, I have to cover this in 15 minutes, so I'll keep reminding myself before anyone reminds me, and run through the slides, but happy to share, and I know that these slides are available. So the Microsoft Azure is really, as I mentioned, the cloud platform for digital transformation. We look at providing technologies that are accelerating your app innovation through rapid app development and agility in the cloud. We also deliver integrated data and intelligence, data for rich insights and intelligence embedded within the apps. Everything is interlinked. And then it is open and flexible, where you can use the tools and the technologies you already have and want to use. But most important part for me and for everyone at Microsoft is the trust. It is trusted to protect your business assets. More customers are expecting digital experiences, and they expect the data that they share to be protected, and we help you do that. So let's actually start with the trust aspect and look at some of the aspects of that. I mean, we looked at trust is many things. So one of it is actually the previous slide, is that you trust that the platform is there. It is there for you locally in Canada with the 2 data centers we have. By the way, the first public cloud to come online in Canada, and then you have also the global scale where you can operate in anywhere in the world if your model is about that. But that is only one piece. There are many pieces for us to trust something like this. It is about the security, the compliance, the privacy, and the transparency that is required. And we at Microsoft, we invest seriously in many levels. I mean, we go even to I mean, if you want to have a quick read and browse through our digital crimes unit and the cybercrime center, where we collaborate with authorities around the world to keep the digital world safe, but also at our level, coupled with the cloud speed and agility, you need insights and actions to quickly monitor, iterate, and manage your systems. Azure services and DevTools and hybrid capabilities provide you that ability to track 360-degree health of your system. I mean, we start, for example, with the Azure portal, where you start using Azure, and in there, right at the front of it, you can build dashboards that include monitoring and metrics for individual resources or groups of resources, topology views, and much more. But as you build applications, you can use services like application insights for monitoring throughout the DevOps process, and then integrate that with the Azure portal so that it's also presented at a glance where you can see the health of your system. But also things like operations management suite, part of the services that are available in Azure, where you can really pull together the cloud assets you have plus the on-premise assets you have, and even multi-cloud. So going to Azure and also AWS and so on, and Windows Server, Linux, VMware, all of that, the ability to manage that within one space. So security is really built into the service we provide. It's embedded within our development processes, infrastructure, operation, and compliance. A famous example on the operational innovation that we do is the assume breach model, where we constantly have even our own teams. We have the red team and the blue team. The red team is simulating real-world attacks and on the network, the platform, and the application layers. The blue team is detecting, protecting, and recovering fast. So as we listen to customers, one of the discussions I loved recently is how customers are beginning to trust, hey, I mean, the investment and the technical skills and the operational innovation that we have in managing security is much more than what any single customer can do. And as we collaborate together and give you the tools that you need, it is basically about keeping the promise of trust on the cloud. So I'll quickly run to another aspect of the trust, and it's for me, it's I've seen many examples of that, but it's basically about compliance. So if data is safe, can I operate on the cloud or even on premise? And the answer is mostly no, because you're always working with a certain solution, keeping certain aspects of data where you really need to be compliant. Whatever the compliance requirement you have, we have, I mean, for almost all of them, we have you covered, whether it's on the global aspects of compliance and the ISO and the different things, or sometimes in the US, but even on industry level, if you're keeping credit card data, PCI, payment card industry, we have that, the part that is related to the platform, because there are always parts that you will need to take care of in the application layer. But also, if it's health, we got to cover there. Even if it's regional, you see Canada privacy laws. Microsoft Azure helps you to be compliant on this. I'll quickly move, and I understand there may be questions on the chat, but in terms of one other aspect is the openness and flexibility. And it's basically about how we strive to meet customers where they are and what they have today. I mean, this is Microsoft Azure. And when we say the cloud platform for digital transformation, we really mean that you're able to build and run open software solutions, extend even on premises. We don't ask you to, hey, you need to move everything to the cloud. You can work in a hybrid scenario, and then you can deploy to both the cloud and on-premise. And I don't know if you're keeping that, but we had the Inspire conference last week with partners from all over the world, and there was an announcement about Azure Stack, which is the packaging in a device that can run the Azure code on premises and then connect to Azure and cloud, so it's true hybrid. But there is also, we heavily invest in the open source technology ourselves. I mean, you look at the number of names on the slide, and I mean, nearly 1 of 3 Azure virtual machines are now running on Linux, and we support Linux as a first-class citizen. In fact, with Red Hat, we have a joint support line that we support Linux. So when it comes to Microsoft Azure, it is really the perfect platform to run the OSS workloads. And why is this important? Because for us in Microsoft, because it's in the best interest of our customers. In fact, 40% of the CIOs are now using open source as a primary strategy heading into 2017. We support customer computing, whatever it is and wherever it is. And finally, and most importantly, we as Microsoft, we contribute to the open source community. So we are an integral part of that community. I mean, you look at things like HD Insight, our Hadoop and big data packaging with Hortonworks and Azure Container Services. These are all contributions from Microsoft to the open source community. So building and running and deploying are all things that are first-class citizens for open source, first-class citizen on Microsoft Azure. And now I'm sorry if I'm moving too quickly, but I'm trying to stick to the timeline. But I'll move a bit to the application innovation part and then get to one of my most inspirational parts, the data and intelligence. But for the app side is we enable you to create your own. I mean, there is bring your own workloads. It's like software solutions that you need to run, but mostly the app innovation is what really fuels the transformation. So we help you build apps faster and easier through development tools and frameworks, whether it's Microsoft or other frameworks on Azure. They are all supported, but most importantly also manage these applications, because as things develop very fast and we're in a very agile world, things will need to be managed as well. But also, how do we cut the development cycles and help you focus again on what matters to your business? So
this is a 2-minute warning. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I thought I was running fast, but obviously not. So I'll quickly run into that. Whether your decision is to, hey, I want to infrastructure to run my apps on, and I'll manage from there, we got you covered. If it's a platform as a service where you will use the app services, the function and logic apps, also we got you covered. Quickly on that, we've mentioned that, so you can manage that through the portal. You can have the monitoring through application insights or manage through operational management suite. Most importantly, in a mobile-first world, we with Xamarin Technologies that we acquired a couple of years back, you can develop once and run on all the available mobile networks and have really a backend that supports you the most. I'll use the last minute on the data and intelligence, because really this is the most important part, at least from my side. It's one of my inspirations. When we look at customers like Real Madrid, if you're into football and specifically European football, you see that how they're using the data that comes from ERP and CRM and using their customer data from legacy system, combining that with data coming from social networks and mobile app usage to all have a specific marketing incentive, and they use the back end, that is Azure Data Factory, to extract, load, and transform the data, use HD Insight for querying, and then publish that on a SQL database where it can be consumed by Excel and Power BI. This is a true back end powering and supporting the data with the front end that really enables the insights to be shared and used for the business. We take that further with enabling machine learning with Azure machine learning templates. This is part of how Microsoft is democratizing AI and enabling everybody to use the intelligence in their solutions. I'll quickly run into that, but things like the bot framework, how we're enabling conversation as a service, where you can have the first mile and lots of the workload handled by the intelligence, and then maybe passed on to actual agents. In this example, insurance, and then there is text, there is speech recognition or textual input recognition, and then combining that with data from back-end systems like Dynamics. We're going to listen to some of that, and then detecting the sentiments if someone is unsatisfied and passing that over to the agent to handle that. That is available at the higher levels after you have the data estate and you want to reason over it with cognitive services APIs like vision, like speech and language and so on. And there are lots of examples of that. I know that in the resources you'll find the answer to that. I know that it's totally unfair to try to present Azure in 15 minutes, but I hope this gives the overview of what we deliver in Azure. Many of this is, I mean, Azure, Lisa, I'm sure, will cover what is available for nonprofits, but this is how you springboard into the new world of digital transformation and really use this to do good at scale. I hope this is something that is useful, given that most of the world is already moving. We have 90% of the Fortune 500 already on the Microsoft Cloud. I'll pause here if there are any questions in respect of your time, and thank you in every language.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed, for introducing us to Microsoft Azure. Now I'd like to pass the presentation to our last speaker for today, Ronald, who will be covering Microsoft Dynamics 365. Hey, Ronald, if you hear us, you seem to be muted, so unmute your microphone, please.
Can you hear
That's
us now?
great. Yep, we're good.
Okay, sorry. So I was just saying good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Thanks for the opportunity today. My name is Ron Chang. I'm the product marketing manager for Dynamics. And I think the way we sequence kind of the last bit of Ahmed's presentation to this portion of today's program, I think it's even though it was not on purpose, I think it was really well organized, because when you talk about data and kind of the analysis of data to derive insights that ultimately helps you make better decisions for your organizations. I think the ability to sort of capture that input through all the different interaction points that you might have between your organization and your constituents is really the foundation of how you're going to go ahead and analyze that data and get the right insights. We have a saying that, you know, if the data is wrong, then all it does is it helps you make wrong decisions with a higher level of confidence. Right, so the ability to have that platform to help you capture the right information, wherever that information is coming from, is super important, and that platform to help you do that, I believe, is through our business applications platform or Dynamics. But the way I want to kind of talk about it with you guys today is not necessarily sort of super product focused, but I want to pivot on an aspect of kind of the engagement that both Christina and Ahmed have talked about before, and that is kind of the changing landscape of your customers. And what I mean by that is your customer expectations are changing. So if you think about kind of how you as an individual interact with all the different places you go to shop or the different places you go to get something done during your day, the way that you interact with those different entities maybe 10 years ago, your expectations then and your expectations today are very, very different. And more specifically around the fact that today you have more ways to provide feedback than ever before. And your expectations of kind of whether you continue to do business with that brand, or whether how much they should know about you before you go talk to them. All those expectations are different. So I want to just share with you some of the results of a study that we commissioned actually just recently within the last 12 months around how us as Canadians and our expectations are changing. So the first thing that we found is the demand or the expectation for personalization is as high as ever. So today, whether it's an end customer for certain scenarios, or these could be your the people that are donating. These could be donors. These could be volunteers that are part of your organizations that helps you accomplish the thing or deliver the services that you want to deliver. Their expectation of the organizations that they work with is changing faster than ever, and it's pivoting around personalization. So we found things like 88% of those surveyed want organizations to respond to their inquiries in a timely manner, or that 62% say that is that important that our organizations remembers them. So you can just imagine if that's the expectation, the ability to deliver that is clearly important. And the next thing that I want to jump to is around this idea of being able to engage on a mobility platform. So if you just kind of read through what's on the slide, you can see it's sort of pretty stark in terms of 84% of people that surveyed say that it's important for them to interact on a mobile platform with the brand or the organizations they have dealings with, and 12% of those surveys say that the same point is important for those that are 55 plus. So as you know, the demographic of sort of the makeup of the population is changing rapidly. Where today the biggest constituents in the workforce are those that are 35 and below. So to be able to engage them in a way that they are used to or that they are motivated to engage you with is more important than ever. And ultimately, the last point I'll touch on here in terms of the result of the survey is in terms of customer service or sort of how do your constituents get information from you during the entirety of the lifetime that they engage with you. So the survey told us that 33% prefer to provide feedback to a business or an organization by email, and 24% of those prefer to provide it directly onto a website. So what that really translates to is the demand is as high as ever for you to be able to essentially be where your constituents are when they're ready to deliver feedback to you. So if you think about the different ways that people interact with brands today, whether it's through sort of social media sites, whether it's through, if you have chat functions that are directly on your website, you might think that for nonprofit organizations, it might not be something that is directly relevant to the way you operate from day to day. But if you just think about the fact that how much you yourselves, when you're going through a shopping experience, how much of that experience do you do on your own anonymously before you engage with the brand, and at what point during that purchase process you engage with the brand? Chances are, when you talk to the brand, you're just shopping for price and you've already made your decision. So if you're trying to engage engage your audience in terms of, again, whether you're recruiting for volunteers or you're looking for or you're doing a fund drive, it's really more important than ever that you have mechanisms to engage your audience whenever they are ready. So how do you really go about that, right? So it might sound daunting in terms of all the different demands in a world of changing customer expectations. One thing that we found that's really kind of levels the playing field is the availability of cloud services. So between Christina and Ahmed, they mentioned already today, from a productivity perspective, from a infrastructure platform and advanced data services perspective, and from my part, from a business applications and customer engagement platform perspective, you now have available to you technologies that, again, looking 10 years back, is only available to the largest organizations with the most amount of resources. So really, you have today a great opportunity by leveraging cloud to deliver the services and expectations that your constituents really have come to expect. So, with that said, what this ultimately means is a couple really salient data points around the fact that 86% of consumers are willing to pay more for better customer experience, right? 72% or 65% of customers have left the brand due to bad customer experience. Oh, sorry, I forgot to move the slide. There we go. So like I was saying, 65% of customers have left a brand due to bad customer experience. And ultimately, 68% of internet users trust consumer opinions posted online. So what does that mean? That means that you, as a brand or as an organization, your control and your messaging is loosening, right? That there's more platforms than ever for people that have engaged with you to post their feedback onto their favorite community forum and really drive impact into your success without you having the ability to directly control that engagement. So I hope I've made the case for you kind of just up to this point on why it's more important than ever to leverage to have a customer engagement platform like Dynamics to help manage your business operations. So with that said, a couple things to consider when you're considering a business applications to help you manage your operations. So like the speakers before, when you think about some really common use cases, it could be things like stakeholder management, it could be things like case management. But what are some of the things that you should be considering as you're going through that evaluation? So some of the things that we have found that are really high impact in this process are things like, how does the business applications connect your organization, right? So especially if you have organizations that's national with offices in remote areas and different functional groups within your organizations, how do you make sure that all of these different people are connected and working towards the same goal, all and within the right business, within the right process that maps you to the business logic of your organization? The other thing that's important to consider is, how does this business applications enable you to make better decisions? Like I said, when you have data that's inaccurate, all it does is really helps you make bad data with a higher level of confidence. So how do you make sure that the business applications that you're thinking about adopting helps you make the right decisions and helps you make better decisions? And lastly, the thing that's really important to consider is, how does it help you start and grow easily? So what I mean by that is, how does it help you grow as your organization continue to have success, and as your organization start to have a bigger base of stakeholders that you need to manage? How do you start from 1 user and then go to 5 users and 10 users and etc., and be able to do that in a way that is scalable and that doesn't cause you a ton of overhead in terms of management to be able to achieve that? So with that, what I wanted to share with everybody now is, from a Dynamics perspective, where we think we can really help you map onto some of those key considerations is, first and foremost, it should really look like the tool that is familiar to you, and which better tool to be familiar to everyone than Office, right? We have a saying that the world's most popular customer management system is actually Outlook. So with that in mind, the tools that you adopt, the tools that are familiar to your stakeholders today, should be something that looks and feels like Office. And Dynamics does that by having some of the best integration with Office and with the rest of the productivity suites that Microsoft offers. The next thing is around fast from the start. So what I mean by that is having things like built-in processes. So in terms of whether it's workflows that helps you to manage new opportunities, or whether it's things that are more maybe back office in terms of when you're placing orders, or when you have to issue invoices. You know, we all think about the core mission of our organizations is sort of engaging the external audience, but we also have other stakeholders that really kind of work with us to help us power our mission, and it's important for us to have an efficient way to manage that full set of stakeholders. So to have a business application that have built-in processes or have the ability to help you get started quickly is really important. And the next point I want to just touch on really quickly is around getting insights. And here specifically, what I mean by that is the integration between Dynamics and the analytics tools that both Christina and Ahmed have shared with us earlier around things like Power BI, right? To have Power BI sort of embedded directly within Dynamics gives you the ability to easily create a dashboard view of your organization and make sure that you have at your fingertips all the key performance indicators that are important for you and the success of your organization, and that you're able to do that in a way that's really self-serve. So between all the different people that are responsible for different parts of the organization, if they have different data points that they want to be able to see every single morning, they have the ability to do that through the integration of Power BI and Dynamics. And next, oops, excuse me. And the next item here is just quickly around mobility and the fact that if you have, we all work a lot more away from the office these days. We're all expected to visit our stakeholders and collaborate with teams that are spread across not just different physical locations, but could be in different, could be on the move at the same time. So with Dynamics, you have the ability to provide this consistent experience really across all the different form factors that stakeholders within your organizations are used to working. So whether that is sort of in a more desktop sitting kind of situation by using a laptop, or it could be through a tablet, or it could be through a smartphone as well. You're able to get that consistent experience across all those different physical form factors. And ultimately, the last point that I'll touch here is around being able to connect all the different parts of the organization to provide a consolidated view. So, like I covered before, if you're an organization of any size, you start to have different groups that do very distinct jobs. So whether that is organizations that are interacting with your external stakeholders, or those that are responsible for implementing various projects, or it could be those that deal with suppliers every single day to make sure that that your organization has the right resources to power all the people that are out, the rest of the organization that's out implementing your vision and your mission. So the ability to have a connected view between all these different stakeholders and surface the right data to the right people at the right time, really it's an important consideration, and it's a strength of Dynamics that we can uniquely provide to enable you. So with that, that brings me to the end of my portion of the presentation. So really hope that you found that was useful. in terms of the changing landscape of the expectations of your stakeholders, and how you can leverage a customer engagement platform offered by Microsoft to better help you succeed in delivering the things that you want to achieve.
Great. Thank you so much, Ronald, and thank you so much to all of our speakers for these informative presentations. I'd like to take time now to ask a few questions from our audience, so if you've not yet entered your questions for our speakers, please do so now by using the questions chat box in your GoToWebinar panel. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the Microsoft Cloud for Good programs and would like to get started, please follow the link displayed on this slide. Okay, our first question is for Christina. Christina, are there offerings, are the Office 365 for nonprofit offerings compliant with Canadian privacy laws, specifically the Personal Information Protection Act in British Columbia and the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, also in British Columbia? So this comes from an organization that is subject to both pieces of legislation, and some of the information that they gather is for a contract with the provincial government that specifies the information gathered belong to them. Christina, are you there? Christina, if you're muted, can you unmute, please?
Hi there, sorry, I lost connection for a second. Can you please repeat that?
Oh, of course. So we have a question from an organization that's subject to both the Personal Information Protection Act and the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act in British Columbia. And this organization would like to know if Office 365 for nonprofits is compliant with these Canadian privacy laws, and if not compliant, when do you expect them to be?
So I apologize, I don't have the answer specifically for British Columbia, but we do have all of our privacy documentation online, which would allow the organization to review it and make sure that it's up to code and up to standard for what they need it for. There's also and I do believe that BC has a law that it requires them to keep their data within Canada, if that's correct. We see it a lot in the education space. And so there is also another site that I can point people to that highlights where data is stored at rest and which data centers it is stored at rest in. So whether it's Canadian or the US data centers, which I think could help with their documentation.
All right, let's stay with you, Christina. We've had several questions about using Office 365 to communicate with users that are external to the organization. Can you speak more about this functionality and how it works?
Yes, there are settings that can be used to allow for communication outside of the organization. It's a technical setting, but it can be done. Okay. The only caveat to that is Teams. At the moment, there is no functionality to allow for an external user to collaborate within an organization's Teams, but that function is in production and should be released in this calendar year.
And can you talk about the difference between groups and teams?
Sure. Teams are, so groups is the underlying technology that allows for employees to work together on things like OneDrive or OneNote, things like that. So it combines the identity, or it is the identity that Teams is built on. So groups is the underlying technology that Teams is built upon.
Okay, wonderful. Ronald, question for you. Can you speak to the capabilities of Dynamics CRM compared to Salesforce?
So the biggest difference between Salesforce and Dynamics, I think I really sort of covered it during the presentation, and is around the strength of the integration with the rest of the Microsoft stack. So whether that is integration with Office 365, and again, sort of the integration with an Outlook, and being able to essentially do things easily, like tracking communications that you receive from your Outlook inbox, and be able to take that information and put it into your customer engagement system, in this case Dynamics, or the integration with things like Sharepoint, so that across your organization you can share documents in a way that's efficient and that delivers a rich experience within Dynamics. Really, I think that is I would say the biggest thing that Dynamics delivers better than anyone else in the marketplace.
And Ronald, speaking of integrations, can you talk more about how Dynamics would be integrating with accounting software such as Sage or QuickBooks?
In terms of which type of functionality? Are there specifics?
Integration with the system.
With the system? Yeah. So the way that there's no sort of direct integration with Sage. What we do have is we offer Microsoft Dynamics 365 financials and operations, and what that and that product actually offers many of the same functionalities provided by sort of the other products that was mentioned. And again, once you're on financials and on the Dynamics platform, you're able to sort of leverage the additional strength of the Microsoft stack.
Okay. Ronald, you quoted a survey in your slides about how Canadians use mobile, et cetera. Are those results available anywhere online?
No, that's a private survey that Microsoft commissioned.
Okay. To return to the subject of data security, this is a question for anybody on the panel. Is any of the data that Microsoft would store through its cloud services for nonprofits here in Canada, would any of it be subject to the US Patriot Act?
Hi, Ben, it's Lisa. So I am more than happy to field all of the questions around privacy and data collection. At the end of the presentation, there will be a survey, and my email will be listed there as the point of contact. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them and direct you directly to the policies and compliance platforms for all of the services and products.
Okay, wonderful. And we can post that on the recap of the webinar as well on our website. So this question is for Ahmed. How does Azure compare and or interact with Office 365?
Thank you. I don't know if we should compare, but I mean, the Microsoft Cloud platform is more than Azure. So when we mention the cloud platform, it's really many components, and Office 365 is a big component of that. So in terms of the underlying infrastructure and the benefits of the services and the operational innovation, they both actually benefit from the same. Now, on the other hand, one thing that we do think it's a big integration point is how the apps and services that are built on Azure through the APIs that are available can integrate easily with Office 365. So think of it as more of extending both platforms. That is much easier together. Many of the aspects of that come to life. For example, when you look at the cognitive services APIs at the very highest levels, and then the different services, you'll find that embedding these experiences within apps that use the Office 365 platform is much easier and delivers very, very good impact in very little time.
Thanks, Ahmed. Ronald, a very quick question. Does Dynamics work on Mac OS or only on Windows?
No, it works on all the platforms, whether it's Windows or Apple or even Android systems.
Great. Christina, do you have a link or a suggestion on documents for best practices for organizations moving to 365 and OneDrive from having a traditional server? Questions around archiving, when to share folders among staff, etc.
Yes, we have a very robust support page, which Lisa can share out with you, or Ben, if you want to include in the follow-up resources.
Great. And then last question is for Lynn and Larry. How have you found using Office 365 with external users, people who are not in your organization? What limitations or self-imposed restrictions do you have?
Okay. We've actually been able to expand our Office 365 a lot to external users. I'll give an example. One of our programs interacts with a government agency that helps people pay their bills for energy, and I was able to actually expand like the scheduling calendar outside of Office 365 for that user. So except for like Skype for Business, where we need like actual users within the system to communicate, there has most of our expansion for outside users has been pretty simple. It's a matter of sharing a document and basically sharing it by email or using the link. So it's been pretty good as far as sharing outside, except for where we need like user licenses internally to communicate back and forth within the system.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Lynn and Larry. Thank you, all of our panelists. That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank all the speakers again for sharing your expertise and experience here. I'd also like to thank everyone who participated in the webinar for taking time out of your busy day to learn more about Microsoft's Cloud for Good programs. Just a reminder that the webinar recording will be posted on our website by tomorrow, and if you want a copy of today's presentations, you can download them in your GoToWebinar panel under the Handouts menu. Also, please do fill out the brief post-webinar survey that will launch after the session if you have any additional questions or if we weren't able to answer your question today. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.